New Jersey Nets basketball, we've got an offer and a real good one. You choose 2 out of the following 3 games and you'll receive an NBA Hoop Sports Bag absolutely free. Select from the following games. Friday, February 14th, as the Nets take on Charles Barkley and the Philadelphia 76ers. Then on February 25th against the Celtics, and Monday, March 30th, David Robinson and the San Antonio Spurs. A limited quantity of these bags are available. Operator standing by. Take your order. Have your credit card ready. Call now 201-935-8888. Great game. Sixers, Celtics, Spurs. Pick 2 of 3. Get that beautiful NBA Hoop Sports Bag absolutely free. 201-935-8888. Well, Spencer Ross, Bill Raftery back here. That's Lou Goldstein. Many of you folks in the New York area, you've seen him on ABC's Network Stars, Wide World of Sports, and you folks who go up to the Catskills at Grossinger. He is the king of Simon Says and has such a great time. He's traveling around the NBA, putting on a show, and he's got this crowd into him.
He does. They're all excited, as the Nets fans should be. A terrific performance, and I hope the Nets do as Bill says. Pitch, that is, in the second half. But I thought their defense was aggressive. They didn't back off, and maybe the All-Star break just what they needed. Let's hope so.
Well, a 13-point deficit at the end of the quarter. Interesting, both teams outscore the other by 11. 37-26 Bulls first quarter. Nets come back and outscore Chicago 37-26. But Jordan, great first half, 21 points. Petrovic with 16.
Well, Petro, I think, is the guy that kept them in there when they were struggling. But yet you got to compliment the bench, and particularly Kenny Anderson, who started the game, penetrated, didn't really have some problems with the press, although the bigger guys did on occasion. And I think he got into the teeth of the defense, and they did some old-fashioned things where they drove, draw, and gave the basketball up. So, you know, good performance, but we know this Bulls team can spurt, Spencer, so you've got to be prepared. Don't hurt yourself. I think that's something they'll drum in to the players' ears.
Okay, it was, remember the last time we were here, a 44-point differential. We'll take a break and get back. We're all even at 63 all here at halftime. In Chicago, we're all even at 63 and 63. The Nets against the Chicago Bulls. We'll take a break when we get back. Judy Jettelson of Sports Channel Chicago will take a look at the Bulls. Bill Cartwright.
Style we know as Michael, or the speed of a Scotty. Instead, he offers his own lumbering grace, like only he can do.
Left side, Cartwright slams!
So in case you haven't heard, after breaking his hand in November, number 24 is back with that unmistakable shot and that equally unmistakable voice.
After being off 6.5 weeks, you know, you find yourself out on the floor, ready, jumping, and moving as fast as you can, and it's kind of a period where you're kind of out of flow.
Well, I think Bill is not quite in the sync that he wants to be with this team, but his stability and his defense inside is always going to be a big help for us when we face bigger centers who, you know, try to establish that inside post-up defense or offensive game, and you know, his neutralization of other big men has really been helpful for us.
He was out for a long period of time, and you know, he says that his hand still bothers him a little bit, but I think it's, you know, a lot of it's more mental than physical, and it's just a situation where he's got to get back into the flow, and it's not going to happen immediately.
Time, patience, and practice. 3 words athletes never seem to get tired of hearing or saying. But how frustrating is it for a veteran like Cartwright to be off for such a long spell?
Well, it's frustrating to the extent that, for one thing, to have the injury, but also you understand that you don't want to rush back because right now at this period of time, or at that period of time, there was plenty of time to get back.
In Cartwright's 6.5-week absence, backup Stacey King and Will Perdue hung very tough. So you have to ask, is that something starter Cartwright should worry about?
No, I don't think so. Bill knows my feelings that, you know, he's forever the starting center if he's injured, and until he doesn't play as well as Stacey or Will Perdue, you know, he's going to have that job, and he's a co-captain of the team, and we rely on him.
I've always said to give anybody some minutes, and they'll be more productive, and that's just what happened. And you know, the reality of that is that makes us a better team.
So for now, it's the other guys, Perdue, King, and Scotty Williams, who are back doing the center shuffle.
Kind of a difficult situation for the rest of the centers, with the fact that Bill's going to take up a lot of playing time. But we just got to make do with what we get.
Here at Chicago Stadium, all even at 63 and 63. Spencer Ross along with Bill Raftery. A first quarter that started off positively for the Nets, and then that big 14-point run that was by Chicago. They opened up a 13-point lead, and the Nets didn't pack it in. Give them credit, they came back and played very, very well.
And usually the guy that leads it for the Bulls happens to be Michael Jordan.
And he did okay.
And the one thing you always forget about how good a passer he is. And he sets up his teammates, and I don't think you'd ever accuse him of being a jocker or a jock in the jargon or lexicon of the playground. He's an unselfish player.
You know, the interesting thing, Connie Hawkins was talking about that last week. He said, when I did it, I was a hot dog. You know, I was a hot dog. And now it's accepted. And really, Hawkins, who deservedly is in the Hall of Fame right now, is the guy who really started it all, the forerunner of Dr. J and Michael.
Times have changed, fortunately, and it's show business. As he said, now it's showtime. When I did it was hot dogging. And the Hawk, fortunately, in the Hall of Fame, but I think Michael Jordan will be there also. And by the way, before we show our highlights, Mike O'Korn, Jordan just come over here to say hello.
Yeah.
And he said, where's Spinarkle? Do you know what that means? North Carolina Duke.
Right. Where's Spinarkle? Jimmy didn't show up this time after what happened last week with Duke against North Carolina. You speak of Michael Jordan. Well, let's take a look at some of these highlights.
Well, then maybe he does have his account. Spinarkle could have Jordan's account. Right. But here's the drive. Give it to Cartwright, who didn't play a lot of minutes, as noted, and the completion. And then we have another one. Drive, get people to pay attention. Cartwright with those 10 minutes, and then give it to Pippen. So he has an awful lot of options. And when you think of it, though, maybe that's why he was looking for Spinarkle. Maybe he invested some money for Jordan, and he's gone bye-bye. Jimmy does radio and TV for the Nets, and a Duke grad, All-American. So the give and take of the Tar Heels and the Dukies.
And the Dukies, yeah, that's quite a battle, of course, down in the state of North Carolina. And in the first half, all even at 63 and 63. We'll take a look at the Old Spice statistical scoreboard right now. The shooting, both teams shooting extremely well, over 50% from the floor for the Bulls in the first half. 62% for the Nets, 57%. The rebounding totals, the Nets with a bit of an edge. The turnovers just about even. The Nets 3 of 5 from three-point land. Drazen Petrovic, Chris Morris, and Derek Coleman, the leading scorers for the Nets, all in double figures. Jordan, Grant, and Pippen in double figures for the Chicago Bulls. The leading rebounders, well, when you make all these shots, nobody's going to get a lot of rebounds. You see Morris, Coleman, and Petrovic with 4 apiece for the Nets. Jordan leads the Bulls with 4 players with 3 rebounds apiece. So halftime here, we're all even at 63 and 63. And right now, let's check out the out-of-town Nobody Beats the Wiz scoreboard. Orlando leading Indiana 84-78, that game in the fourth quarter at Disneyland. Philadelphia leading Miami 109-93, that game in the fourth quarter. Atlanta over Charlotte 104-102 in the fourth. The Lakers lead Minnesota, but a close game in the third quarter at Minneapolis 76-73. San Antonio's opened up a 69-57 lead over the Celtics in the third quarter. Detroit 50-47 at halftime at Milwaukee. Cleveland at Utah just underway. Denver at Portland. Houston at Seattle. Washington at Golden State. All later starts. And right here, a 63-63 ball game. And how important the first 2-3 minutes of this third quarter, Bill?
Well, there's such a strong team mentally that you've got to be set. And the thought that I would always have just watching the Bulls is, hey, play your game. Try not to turn it over where you're going to lead to an open court fast break. Don't beat yourself and be solid. Now, that all sounds very easy on paper. They can exploit you. But before we do get into the half, John Bach just dropped by.
Yes.
Fordham coach.
Yeah, Fordham Penn State.
Golden State. And, of course, here with Chicago finding a home, inquiring about Ed Conlon.
Oh, yeah. Well,
he's a great All-American and
he was his
NBA performer. Yeah, at Fordham. And, of course, Eddie, a great NBA player when they had 8 teams, I might add. And yet how tough it was to make it in those days. Ed now a very successful
Insurance